Welcome to the Capital Call podcast, where we discuss capital, labor, and technology, the main drivers of the global economy. I'm your host, Vijar Kohli, co-founder of Golden Door, an investment firm based in Newark, New Jersey. We hope you enjoyed today's topic as we expand on the ideas of capitalism and economics. On this week's episode, we discuss the rise in jobless claims, $1 trillion worth of corporate debt maturing this summer, and industries affected most by the coronavirus. Fear keeps the U.S. economy on the edge. Motion creates emotion, and investors are very emotional. The U.S. indices are down over 20% in the past month alone as our entire economy comes to a halt. I've never seen businesses close doors so quickly. Hoboken, New Jersey, New York City are complete ghost towns, and the cost of not doing business will be huge. It's been 2 weeks since businesses have closed doors. 1 week is enough for people to kind of get away, equivalent to a vacation, but most people are not prepared to be away from work for more than 2 weeks, especially when income is not coming in and everything is shuttered. I can't imagine what's going on in other households. Most people haven't even taken a vacation for more than 2 weeks, so I'm not sure what to expect going into April. On the bright side, the White House and Senate have striked a historic deal of $2 trillion. A lot of it includes tax credits, small supplemental checks to households depending on your income levels, and a few other ways to stimulate the economy, because we need this now more than ever. And the reality is it's not enough, and we'll see a lot more pain going into the summer. Even if the coronavirus fears die down by mid-April, the economic damages will be felt for the rest of 2020. New jobs and unemployment are both rising. Major industries had to lay off millions of workers over the past 2 weeks. 3.28 million jobless claims were filed last week alone, the fastest and highest unemployment rate we've ever achieved in economic history in the United States. On the other hand, we have CVS and Amazon and other major industries hiring. CVS has announced that they're hiring 50,000 people in full-time, part-time, and temporary positions due to the surging demand in their drugstore services and health goods. We've seen this across many essential stores, quote unquote. Amazon is hiring over 100,000 for new roles and raising wages for hourly workers fulfilling orders, and they can't even get out deliveries in time. I tried to place an order this week, and the product wasn't going to come until the end of April. And Walmart now is also raising minimum wages by $2. It's gigantic. On one hand, small business America has been decimated. On the other hand, big business America is definitely providing and extending a hand to anybody that needs a job today. And if you don't already know, the sectors that are most vulnerable to job losses today are mining, oil, and gas. Energy sector is completely done. Transportation, nobody's on the road today. Employment services, so staffing and recruiting, things that happen in person specifically, they've basically been shot, since obviously there are very few employers hiring. Travel industry and events, leisure and hospitality have almost no business. Goldman Sachs estimates that there's an 85% decline in sports and entertainment spending, 75% decline in transportation spending, and 65% decline in hotel and restaurant spending. It's unbelievable how quickly this domino effect has impacted three major industries in my eyes, and it definitely bankrupt major corporations. Small businesses have another problem on the other hand. Working capital to restart businesses is quite expensive. On one hand, you can lose sales, which is tough, but if you're forced to close doors, it's even more challenging because your sales drop to zero. You have to fire your employees, and then it's equivalent to restarting or relaunching your business from scratch. So 2 weeks of working capital, payroll, insurance, and vendor payments for $1 million business could be as much as $100,000, which is what a lot of small businesses do in local economies. So if small business owners don't burn through their savings in the next 2 months, which is likely for taking care of their families, their employees, and keeping their business open, they actually may not have enough capital to reopen the business when the virus is gone and people start shopping again, which is a really major concern. The stimulus package may not do enough for all small businesses, which is a reality. It's a possibility that 1 out of 3 retail businesses may just not open this summer. They won't have access to capital. They won't have the capital to open up the stores or do anything. So a lot of businesses will just be shuttered, unfortunately, coming out of this economic halt. Earlier this summer, I mentioned in 2020, we have over almost $1 trillion in corporate debt maturing. And this was a problem 2 months ago. Now it's a complete catastrophe. 1/3 of the debt will definitely be impacted by the economic shutdown. I think it's probably closer to 50%. The loss of revenue and the credit downgrades are enough for corporates to just miss payments and really have a challenge when it comes to refinancing the debt, even if interest rates are at zero. And this is why earlier this week, the Fed announced that it was suspending its previous guidance on quantitative easing, which sought to buy at least $500 billion in U.S. Treasuries and $200 billion in agency-backed securities. Over the coming months, the Fed now will purchase securities in the amounts needed, which is essentially unlimited according to them, and will expand the scope of those purchases to include agency, commercial, mortgage-backed securities, and corporate debt. So midsummer, we'll find out what these companies are really experiencing. I think it will take 2-3 months to find out the economic effects. We've seen major retailers like Ross Stores and TJ Maxx have already announced that they will be extending their payables for 2 to 3 months or indefinitely until times get better. So if those top brands are struggling, I can only imagine what the suppliers in the supply chain are going through at this moment in time. And a lot of them are also 9-figure businesses, so they'll definitely feel the pain with all the heavy fixed costs around actually manufacturing, delivering, and actually paying for staff. It's definitely a vicious cycle, but it's something that's going to happen right after this crisis starts to go down, sunset into the summer. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with a friend. We're always looking for feedback, so leave a review. You can also find me on Twitter or LinkedIn at Vijarkoli on all platforms. And as always, thank you for listening.